Welcome to the Circle Investor Real Estate Training Course.
This is your crash course on everything we think you should know before buying your first rental property in Indianapolis.
On today's course, we talk about Indianapolis is widely regarded as one of the most investor-friendly markets in the entire country.
Indianapolis, it's a real place with real people, and it's more than just a place where you can buy a duplex and have positive cash flow.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Indianapolis Real Estate Investor Training Course. This episode could be the inaugural episode. It could be one of many. One of the things that we wanted to get right into was a guide for real estate investors visiting Indianapolis who have never been here, or maybe they've just kind of treated it like everyone else in the country does, a flyover state where you just stay in a hotel for a night. But Indianapolis is widely regarded as one of the most investor-friendly markets in the entire country. It's a place where you can cash flow very easily here in this market. So we want to get into a few things, but importantly, we work with a team of real estate agents who often put their money where their mouth is, as we like to say. Ryan, I know Ryan owns real estate. Richard does as well. I mean, it's only a matter of time before I do here in Indianapolis. So we wanted to make this guide to make sure that everyone gets the most out of their time visiting Indianapolis. So take it away, Ryan. This isn't necessarily a tourist guide. It's how investors should experience Indianapolis.
Yeah, 100%. This episode is really meant to help people see Indianapolis as more than just like, hey, this fits my goal on a spreadsheet. I got to admit, I've worked with real estate investors for a very long time, and I've talked to too many folks that are just like, oh, hey, I like this market because it's good cash on cash return. And that's true. And I love that I get to be in this market. I'm not from Indianapolis myself. Originally, I'm from Central California. Almost because I'm not from here originally, I feel extra qualified to help educate because I went through this crash course about 10 years ago, learning everything I could about Central Indiana and the city of Indianapolis, and just becoming familiar with what makes this city great, what makes it a great place to live. So Indianapolis is, it's a real place with real people, and it's more than just hey, this is a place where you can buy a duplex and have positive cash flow, although it is that too. That's really the purpose of this episode, is to give you an overview of the city and give you some real recommendations on what you can do while you're here that's going to make you just have better time on your visit, but also give you a more richer experience as a real estate investor, somebody who might come to own properties in Indianapolis. If you're the type of person that wants to have more of a connection with the real estate that's in your portfolio. Without further ado, some of the things that you really kind of can't learn from spreadsheets. So when I say that, just looking at purchase price, looking at rent rates, the feel of the neighborhood, there's really no better way to learn that than just go spend some time. At the very least, try to drive around some neighborhoods, some places that you're considering investing. We hear neighborhood names thrown around all the time. We throw around neighborhood names ourselves. You got Broad Ripple, Fountain Square, Bates Hendricks, Near East Side, all these things. At the very least, go drive around some neighborhoods. I say go beyond that, do better, park your car, get out, walk around. Walk around neighborhoods, spend some time in parks, and make it a goal to greet somebody and have a conversation and learn something about their story, because anytime you visit a city and you talk to a local that you didn't know previously, you're just going to be much more likely to leave knowing something about that city that you didn't know when you arrived.
And there's nuance within those neighborhoods. And I think that's borderline common knowledge for a lot of people who are familiar with Indianapolis. I'm thinking of it in the context of when I was younger and I was like looking for places to live in Indy, people were telling me like to go to the local grocery stores because it varies. Even like within a Broad Ripple or a Mass Ave, feel the tenant demographic, or just the demographic in general, it changes like every couple of blocks, even within those neighborhoods. So there's a lot more kind of layered nuance within that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you'll hear people say like downtown Indianapolis is street by street, and there's a lot of truth to that. That's something that we have our Indianapolis investor map, which we'll probably link to this video so that people can see that, which is very nuanced and really shows, hey, here's where sort of your most desirable and least desirable real estate is. But that can only show you so much. We can only go so granular on that map. And the truth is there's going to be streets in an A-class area that If you were like, hey, if I lived here, I don't think I'd be having as much of an A-class experience, maybe more of a B class, because this city was developed in the early 1800s when it was first built. So some streets are nice and wide and have mature trees. I think of neighborhoods like Woodruff Place, or even Birdsall over on the near west side. There are these, and like St. Clair Place, these areas that were there. They were where the old money was, like back in the day, And those streets were built in a way that they were premium areas to live with, wide streets. And now those small neighborhoods are just kind of tucked amidst larger areas, but there's still going to be that difference that you experience from one street to the next. There's no better way to understand that than just to go drive around and experience those differences.
Here's a good litmus test for people who are visiting Indy for this purpose. Go downtown and get on College Avenue and then just drive north. Drive all the way to the north side and feel the difference from one 5-minute block to the next.
That's a good one, because you're going to, if you drive College Avenue all the way up from, let's say, start south of Mass Ave, sort of in Lockerbie, and you drive all the way up, to Keystone at the crossing area, you're going to pass through A class, B class, and C class real estate. It'll give you kind of a good gauge of where those transitions take place. That mindset, that's what we want people to have, is you're not just buying the house, you really are investing in a neighborhood. That's an important thing to keep in mind. But, we don't want your visit to Indianapolis to just be all about the properties and the house itself. So let's, Stuart, you want to get into some of our food and drink recommendations?
Absolutely. So Indianapolis's most famous restaurant, I would argue, St. Elmo Steakhouse. That's a must hit if you've never been here. Obviously, steaks are killer. The shrimp cocktail, one of the things that they're famous for. The Provincial Burger from Brew Burger.
Or Provincial Burger. I would argue the best burger on planet Earth. I've had burgers like all over the place. I've been to Minetta Tavern in New York City. They're known for their burger. This is better.
I added a special shout out building off of the Brew Burger menu, the pulled pork nachos. That's a favorite in our household. We usually go pulled pork and pulled chicken, two separate orders, but it's an appetizer that you can eat as a full meal.
I will be honest, I did not know Brew Burger had nachos.
Yeah, pulled pork, it's an appetizer. Try it out if you haven't tried it. Yeah. Moving on, a restaurant that I just tried for the first time, Working Man's Friend.
Oh, yeah. I think also a great burger.
Yes.
Different. So we have two burgers on this. So Indy's a good place to come if you want to try a good burger. Mm-hmm. But that we're talking like different classes, because Working Man's Friend, that's going to be a great like classic like smash burger, kind of, flat iron type of thing. Whereas Brew Burger is more of like going to be your like upscale. And I'm telling you, that Provincial Burger it's got like melted goat cheese and like grilled onions on it. It's dreamy.
Long's Donuts, another Indianapolis staple. I've been to the one on the south side, like cash only. You have to order I'm not sure. Can you order one donut at a time? I think you have to order like 6 at a time, right?
I think so. They had a rule, I think. I'm not positive though.
Or even a dozen at a time. It's worth it. You added Little India in here in Sobro, so talk about that.
Yeah, that's one. I don't think that makes the, everybody's top list, but again, it's just my wife and I love Indian food, and we've tried and I mean I don't go that deep with Indian food, but I'm sort of your tikka masala. Had butter chicken or tikka masala at a lot of places, and I have to say I think one of the best places I've had it is Little India. It's like I think it's on 52nd Street. Sobro. So wanted to give a shout out to them. If you're staying around there, if you find yourself in the area, great spot to get some Indian food.
And so for the unfamiliar, Sobro is Broad Ripple, a very famous neighborhood in Indianapolis. We're talking about Sobro, Southern Broad Ripple.
Yep.
One that I'm just now realizing that I forgot to put on this list, and a restaurant, again, that I just tried for the first time. I've been missing out for years. I'm a diehard Reuben fan, so Shapiro's Deli, downtown Indy. They also have, recently they changed how their menu works. You can get, I think it's called the Rebecca, which is essentially the Reuben, but with like half the amount of meat. We're talking about like the classic Reuben, deli style Reuben that's got like 3 inches of brisket.
Well, I didn't need that information. I want all the meat.
Yeah,
so.
Same.
You can, that sounds great though.
Yeah. All right. So that's good. That's a good wrap for food and bev.
Wait, I want to throw one more in there. So I always like a good breakfast option too. So, if you're staying here a couple of days, you want to go out for breakfast. I can't recommend more Cafe Patachou. I mean, they've got something for everybody, and their like cinnamon toast there is so good.
Let's talk a little bit about where to stay. So I'll intro this one and let you take it away. The first recommendation that Ryan and I are both going to give is to stay in a house, stay in an Airbnb.
Yeah. Yeah. This video is for people that are considering investing in real estate. I'm assuming most of the people we work with, like you might be investing in something residential real estate. So you're talking about single families, small multifamilies, and if you're in the market to buy a hotel in Indianapolis, go stay in a hotel. You could scope out the competition. If you're in the market to buy a house, stay in a house. Why that's something that I think is a little funny, where it's like somebody comes to Indiana, they're considering buying an Airbnb in Indianapolis. I've had this happen. Somebody's about to buy an Airbnb in Indianapolis, and they book their travel in a hotel. Talk about not being a customer of your own business.
Yeah.
But yeah. I always say stay, and there's a couple reasons for that, right? Like, one, you're going to get to experience at least one house. And the amount of questions I get from people who aren't from Indianapolis that are like, kind of what normal, and like, what are houses in Indianapolis like? Like, you should stay in one. Mm-hmm. If you're considering buying a house, and a lot of our real estate, our downtown real estate especially, it's a century old. These houses were built between 1900 and 1940. And if you really want to like touch and feel like kind of what, not just what a distressed property might look like, but see what like a finished product, like how these properties could be renovated and what they can become, stay in a property downtown that is kind of this age, because you're going to get to experience the house that way. And then another reason is that's going to put you in a location. It goes back to driving around and walking around neighborhoods. If you're staying in one of those neighborhoods, that you already checked that one off the list. You get to be there.
Indianapolis being so rental friendly, you're going to be able to find an Airbnb that you want to stay in pretty much every neighborhood in Indianapolis. So if you're considering the Broad Ripple area, for example, to invest in a property, find a nice Airbnb in Broad Ripple, go stay there, walk around, go out to the bars, go out to the restaurants that are walkable, go from there.
Yeah, experience life as if you truly lived in Indianapolis, because I think that's something that gets missed. If you stay in a hotel, the location you're going to stay in, and this is probably true for a lot of cities, like the location you're going to be in, if you're in like a cheap hotel off the interstate, I mean, nobody lives there because you're kind of in the boondocks, right? And if you're in a exclusive hotel in downtown Indianapolis, well, no one lives there either. I mean, you're going to have people, sure, that live in condos and stuff around there. But again, like if you want to understand the market, if you're considering, buying a small multifamily or a single family, stay in the type of neighborhood that would exist in, and experience life in those kinds of areas. Speaking of those kind of areas, what are some location recommendations for, where those houses might be?
I would say like Indianapolis's Mount Rushmore for these kinds of properties is going to be like Broad Ripple, Fountain Square, Mass Ave. We did put an honorable mention on this list for Speedway. I think it's kind of an underrated area, especially with the development that's happened downtown Speedway, like near the track. Conveniently, a lot of these neighborhoods have interstates nearby. So you'll be able to get on either a highway or an interstate and get to the other side of Indianapolis in a matter of 30 to 40 minutes at the most.
Yeah, and I think so. Our list kind of includes, I think Broad Ripple is a great spot. There's, some small, nice homes, cottages. It's kind of a centrally located. You can walk to a lot of restaurants and stuff to do. Same is true of like Fountain Square, Fletcher Place. If you're more of kind of like really like to see what the local art scene sort of is, like one of your more artsy places is going to be kind of Fountain Square, Fletcher Place, artisan shops, restaurants, that kind of thing. I think of Mass Ave as like one of our biggest epicenters of value. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's where you're like kind of your top restaurants and shops, everything wants to be on Mass Ave. Like, if a restaurant's not located there, they want their second location to be there.
There's a reason that Intrigue's office is on Mass Ave.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's super centrally located. So it's something that if you're not staying on Mass Ave, I mean, or Chatham Arch, Lockerbie area, like go experience that area. Like that is really right with the heartbeat of Indianapolis. The canal is also a good place to stay too. You're a little more removed, but it's also a really cool just part of the city. Great feature of the city that I like people from out of town to experience, because it's a unique feature of the city that we have that canal downtown. I put on here the honorable mentions of sort of Speedway and Carmel, because I would honestly I would not recommend staying in Speedway or Carmel, and a lot of investors that come to Indianapolis do. Partly because everybody's heard of, the Indy 500 and Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So they're like, I'm going to stay in Speedway. That's where that takes place. And kind of same goes for Carmel. A lot of people have heard of Carmel. They've heard it's famous for being like the most roundabouts per capita in the whole country. Carmel and Speedway are both really cool markets. But I wouldn't recommend staying in either just because they're not very centrally located. So if you're trying to get sort of an overview of Indianapolis, if you're staying there, it's going to be kind of hard for you to get anywhere else. Now, if you're hyper-focused on Carmel or hyper-focused on Speedway, sure. But even then, like those are sort of auxiliary markets of downtown Indianapolis. So I would recommend stay in more of a downtown neighborhood and maybe go visit Speedway one day or go visit Carmel. But so that I get honorable mentions because I think they're good areas. But
So I think the last two things that we really wanted to hit on, what to do other than touring properties, how to plan your visit, I think we could tie those two together. So Indianapolis, for those who don't know, a huge sports market, believe it or not. We've got the Indianapolis Colts, the Pacers, the Fever, IU football, shout out, just won the Heisman, and number one in the country. Like the Speedway that you mentioned, there's just so many things going on. So one of the smart things that we would recommend doing is plan your visit around a major sporting event.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Just, or major sporting event or concert or just an event of any kind. A great neighborhood for that would be like Fletcher Place or Fountain Square, or maybe the old South Side would be walkable to all of the major event centers, like where the Pacers play, where the Colts play. And the convention center is right down there too. We host Gen Con. It's like, it happens here. So if you're into board games and that kind of thing, like Gen Con, it happens once a year in Indianapolis. It's the only one in the country. There's so many great, outside of, major league sports games that we've got, NCAA, Indy 500, obviously, that got mentioned here. Whatever you're into, like this city has an event for you. I think it can be a really great idea to plan your visit around attending an event, just to kind of experience that energy, because I think that's a big part of Indy's value. I also have on here, take a walk, take a nature walk in, Eagle Creek or Holiday Park, are probably my top things. You can see the ruins at Holiday Park. You can see Eagle Creek Reservoir. Or if you're not as into nature and you more so want to experience kind of a walking tour of the city, you can walk the Cultural Trail around downtown. It's a great way to do that. You can also walk or maybe ride a bike, or you could get one of those like e-scooters or something and go up the Monon Trail, because that will stretch all the way up from Mass Ave, kind of downtown, up through Broad Ripple, up through Carmel. You can even take it all the way to Westfield if you want to. I also have duck pin bowling on here.
Yeah, I think there's a few great spots for that in Indy.
There's a few. I think the most noteworthy ones to me are, there's a great new one at the Garage that has a lot of lanes, and so duck pin bowling at the Garage. And then can't remember the name of it, but there's an OG one, is in Fountain Square, and it's like on the 4th floor. And that's like, if you want to just see some like hardwood with some real patina on it from, 150 years of use, if you're kind of that kind of like just tactile thing. It's a thing to do is going to that original duck pin bowling in Fountain Square. Last one I have on here is go see a movie at Can Cinema and Bar. That's a really cool thing we have on the east side.
Yep, absolutely. And I think there might be still one drive-in movie theater on the south side somewhere.
Tibbs, yeah. Depending on the time of year you're here, that could be a great go see a drive-in movie. Now let's, I'm sure this is what a lot of people have been waiting for. On is like when it comes to actually being a real estate investor. And planning a trip and seeing properties in Indianapolis, some of our recommendations for that. So,
how many properties would you typically recommend an investor see per visit?
It really, per visit, it could be as many as you're wanting to. But I kind of break it down per outing. I recommend try to stick to 4 to 6 max per outing. And the reason is I think a lot of people think like, okay, I'll just 30 minutes per showing. Like I can see 10 properties in a day. Let's do it. But the problem is everything starts to blur together. You're going to be tired. Your agent's going to be tired. Are you going to break for lunch or, it starts to become physically demanding to see that many properties. So I always say per outing, try to stick around 4 to 6.
Do your homework on the neighborhoods. Hire an agent that's going to do that homework for you. Start analyzing the deals before you come here. That also ties well into having a great resource in an agent here in Indianapolis. Drive those neighborhoods before you book the showings. Try to game plan like how you're going to get in and out of these neighborhoods, where you're going to park.
100%. Yeah, doing your homework, analyzing the deals, and driving the neighborhoods before you say, "Hey, agent, I want you to book this showing for me." Your agent will love you for that. Because you're doing yourself a service too by creating a lot more of a short list for yourself. Chances of the properties that you're going out to see being something that checks the boxes and is going to be something that you actually want to offer on are going to be so much higher.
What if an investor wants to see more than 5 properties in a day?
I would just make the suggestion, if you're wanting to really use a lot of your agent's time, and I want to see more than 5 properties a day. I'm coming out for 3 days, and I want to see a total of 15 properties, 5 each day. Consider offering your agent some compensation for their time up front. And you can even, I've done this with clients before where like I'm saying, hey, I need to be paid for my time up front here, but I will actually credit this, whatever you pay me. Let's say you pay me, $400 for my time showing you properties. I'll credit it back to you off of a commission if you close on a single property, because it's just important to, and this is something I think agents have a difficult time bringing up with their clients a lot, but you need to understand that this might be a fun visit for you. And, whether I buy something or not, like I got to go tour a bunch of properties and experience a new city. Like your agent's working, like they, this is their job. And they can walk properties anytime they want here, and this is their home, and you are taking a lot of their time. So being somebody who's willing to kind of just respect your agent's time, like it will go a long way, and trust me, like it'll pay dividends for you in how much that agent prioritizes you as a client.
I would also say, like in summary, Indianapolis can certainly be a flyover state. There's a lot of logistics and things of that nature here. It can also be a really fun trip. So try to take some of these recommendations, plan your trip around some cool neighborhoods and some fun things to do, and enjoy your trip and come back and see us.
If you learned something from today's course, please give us a 5-star review on Spotify and like the episode, and subscribe on YouTube. That really helps us out.
If you think someone could benefit from the things you've heard today, please share it with them.
You can check out our full library of episodes and courses wherever you get your podcasts. And if you have any suggestions for future topics, please shoot us an email at thecircleinvestorpod@gmail.com.
That's it for today, but join us next time on the Circle Investor Real Estate Training Course.